It's over here. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Boydston. I'm the Director of Payroll and Employee Services. And this afternoon, we're going to show you the new time system. Before I start showing the time system, I just want to direct everyone's attention to our website. It's at ou.edu/payroll. And on our website, we have a link called Workforce Time System. And on this link, you'll see the reasons why we purchased a new time system for the university. Underneath this, we have our Go Live calendar, which you guys are in Group 8. There are 10 groups that will be going live, so you're Group 8 of 10. So we're very excited that you guys are going live this weekend. That means we're almost done. You can also click on the hyperlink here for the group, and it will open up and show you what departments are in that group, and it's by department name order. Underneath the calendar, we have our work section called Workforce for Employees. And we have short instructional videos on this page where you can, they're all about less than 5 minutes long. One thing I won't cover today is how to amend your timesheet. An amended timesheet is like a backdated timesheet that we call it, it's what we call it today. So if you turn in your monthly timesheet and you realize you made a mistake and you need to correct it, it's an amendment. You amend it. So when you go live and you're trying to figure out how to do something, if you can't figure it out, you can always come in and watch the videos, and it'll walk you through how to do it. We also have the manual for our employees that was included with the email that we sent. This one will be kept up to date, so you can pull it down at any time. And then we have some quick guides, which are sections out of the manual that just shows you how to do it, where you don't have to look through the manual to find the directions. If you just need to know how to amend a timesheet and you don't want to watch the video, you can just click on the PDF and it will open up and give you the directions. One quick guide I want to point out is how to bookmark. When you go live, you're going to go to time.ou.edu to enter your time. It will take you to an OU sign-on page where you're going to enter your OUNet ID and your password. Once you enter that information, it will take you and then direct you into the time system. Normally, we bookmark once we're in, right? So if we bookmark at that time, we just bypass single sign-on. That's why you need to follow the directions if you want to bookmark it. I did bookmark mine, but half the time I just type in time.ou.edu. It's not that hard, right? And once you start typing it, it pulls it up anyway. So your decision on what you want to do. Underneath the employees, there's also one for managers. It's got the same thing, short instructional guides. There's a manager manual and quick guides. Also, when you go live, this is different than it has been in the past. We're going to send the employees an email letting them know that they need to submit their time to their supervisor. Monthly employees will receive that email on the last working day of the month. So the first time you're going to receive an email is going to be on November 30th. If you do not submit your time to your supervisor by December 5th, you'll receive your second email at noon reminding you to get it submitted to your supervisor. Just keep in mind those are set dates that they go out, even for the supervisors, which I haven't given you yet. So it may fall on a weekend. You're still going to get the email on the weekend. During December and November, we run the payrolls early because we have to compress them into a short period of time because we're closing for winter break. And normally we would have a payroll ran that week. So you're going to get the email in December, but we're going to send out another email to your supervisor letting you know your time is really at a different time to get it approved. Those dates are on our website under the payroll managers and coordinators. If you go to the calendar, you'll see the deadlines are listed. So monthly is at the bottom. In December, your deadline is actually the 3rd. But as long as you have it submitted by the 3rd, then you won't get an email on the 5th. More than likely, you won't get one because we'll have already closed it by then. If you're a supervisor, the emails go out to you on the 6th day of the following month at 8 a.m. And if you haven't approved the monthly time by 8 a.m. on the 7th day, you'll get your second reminder. Your deadline for getting it completely approved is on the website as well. All right. So I'm going to sign into our test database as a monthly employee. Now, she does have a web clock listed, and the only reason I have that on here is sometimes monthly employees have hourly staff that they supervise and they want to see what it looks like. You will never have a web clock on yours. So yours will not look like this, so this would not be there. But the rest of it would be on your dashboard. So we have our time entry section, reporting, schedules, leave balances, and employee leave requests. So on your timesheet, as monthly employees, we do not report time worked necessarily, right? We get a salary to perform a job for the month. We are expected to work full-time FTE for the week, so we're expected to work 40 hours, but it may be that we flex our month sometimes. Some departments allow you to do that. If your department allows you to do that, you can still continue to do that. And I probably need to jump forward. Aretha is my only monthly person, and for some reason, she does not have what I need to see here. It's not going to be good if Aretha isn't set up right, because then I'm not going to be able to show you. What in the world? Oh, I'm the wrong person. That would be what it is. I typed in the wrong. I was like, this does not look right. I thought that's what I typed in a minute ago. Still, you're not going to have the web clock, and that's what your dashboard looks like. So monthly employees, when you sign in, you're going to see work elapsed hours entered on every day for you. That's for the Affordable Care Act. We're tracking to see that you worked your hours, right? More than likely you do. You don't have to adjust it. If you take leave, we're going to ask that you remove it so we don't show too many hours. But it's going to pre-populate. You'll also see that your holidays are pre-populated. So you don't have to worry about entering holidays in the system. You don't have to worry about entering your 2 days over the winter break for scheduled leave. And if the university were to close down due to inclement weather, you won't have to enter admin leave for a full day. If it's a partial day, you'll need to do that, because we don't know what your shift is like. So you may come in late or early. We don't know that, so we ask that you enter it in those for partial. Do any of you ever work on a holiday? Some of you do. I see some shaking of heads. So if you work, leave the holiday there. Don't take it off. And just come to that day and do on the please select and go to the work elapsed and just show I worked 8 hours that day. Or if you worked 4, just enter 4. And I will receive a message at the bottom that says, we noticed that you worked on a holiday. Do you want to bank it? Now, for hourly employees, if they don't bank it, they get double time. For monthly employees, if you don't bank it, you don't get anything, right? So you're going to want to bank it if you work on a holiday. So all you have to do is acknowledge it. Just click the little acknowledge button and save your page. It's just like Word, Excel. You always have to save any changes that you make. Once you've acknowledged it, that those hours, so if you worked 4, then only 4 hours would be banked. And those, it's going to look at what you worked, and it's going to basically offset the hours that you worked into your bank, as long as it doesn't exceed the hours of the holiday. They will appear in your time off that you can take later. You'll notice when I select the drop down, if I'm going to take off on Wednesday and it was a last minute thing, I can come down and just change my work elapsed to paid leave scheduled. All of the pay codes that I use on my monthly cert now, they're here, and I can just select the one that I need. Any questions on how to enter something on your monthly timesheet? Pretty simple, right? Monthly employees do not receive a lot of exception messages, but hourly employees do. So if you supervise hourly employees, they're going to see a lot more exception messages. But monthly, there's not really a lot that we're checking. So you won't receive a lot of messages. On the results tab for monthly employees, there is no pay associated to it because we're not paid based on the hours that we work. We're paid a salary. Hourly employees are paid for the hours that they work, so they will see money associated here, but you will not. So yours does look a little bit different. You're not using schedules. Monthly employees would never use a schedule anyway. It's mainly for your hourly employees, so this would always be grayed out. And your time off are all your time off balances. So I can see my paid leave balance, and you can, normally it would be with the details hidden, but you can click on the show details and see how your leave is reported. You can see she took 7 hours on the first. Now, she came in with a -7. I'd put her in a deficit, and I need to give her some more leave. But she accrued on the first. So monthly employees, one thing that you'll, I think, appreciate is when you go live in November, normally you won't receive your accrual for November until December 15th. You'll receive your November accrual. Actually, you guys go live December 1st. So you'll receive your December accrual January 1. So you go live December 1st. I was saying November, but you guys go live December 1st. Normally, you wouldn't get your accrual until January 15th, somewhere around there. Now you get your accrual on the first day of the following month. So December's accrual shows on January 1. So your accrual is much faster. So when I go to the next month, I would see my accrual on the bottom of my timesheet. So that, I think, is great. I like that. I get my accrual faster. And I can also see where my balance is as of today. I don't have to wait until my earnings statement comes out. I know exactly where I'm sitting. I never have to question it. That is my balance as of today, because I haven't reported any leave in this month. Banked holiday. So when I bank my holiday, it will appear in my banked holiday bucket. If I take time off, it is going to make me use my banked holiday first before I can use my paid leave. And then if I have any extended sick leave, it will appear. You'll also notice that Aretha has 240 hours of military leave. But I just want to stress that military leave is only there for the men and women who serve in the military. So when they have to go to training or they are deployed, they now can see how many hours they have in their military bank. In the past, they haven't been able to see that, and we wanted to be able to allow them to have an idea of their balance. We don't know who's in the military, so anyone that is benefits eligible, we gave it to them. If you turn in military leave, we are going to ask you for your orders, so make sure that you are in the military and you have orders to back that up. Up in the right-hand corner, this is 12. If I click on it, it's going to show me the hours that have been reported for me per day. It just lets you look at your month really quickly to see that all your hours are right. I know for you guys, if you're not changing your ACA amount, your work elapsed hours, it may not impact you as much. But if you took leave and you left your work elapsed hours there, you might want to make an adjustment and show that you didn't actually, you're already reporting it in another fashion. It's not just hours that you worked. You'll also notice the show all weeks is turned on when you go live. It will not be selected, and this means I can only see 1 week at a time, and I have to select or click on the weeks at the top in order to move from week to week. If you want to be able to scroll through your month, you just select show all weeks, and I can scroll through the whole month. You also have an Act Balance tab, and this gives you the ability to track your FMLA weeks that you have available. Just keep in mind that we did not bring in any past history to the system, so if you've been out on FMLA in the last 12 months, you will not see that reflected here. But if you haven't been out on FMLA and you have to go out in the spring, you'll be able to track how many FMLA weeks you have still available and how much you've used. In the past, you didn't know that. You kind of had to keep track of that on your own. Notice I keep clicking save. When it's orange yellow, it means you need to save. When it's blue, there really isn't anything for you. You haven't made any changes. The submit button is the button that you're going to push at the end of the month. When you've checked all your time, it's right, and you're signing off on it, you just click submit. When you click the submit button, it will lock you out of your timesheet. But as long as your supervisor has not approved your time, if you realize you made a mistake, you can always click the recall button and it will open back up. If your supervisor's approved it, it won't let you recall. The More button allows you to either refresh the page or you can print. Just keep in mind your time is always in the system. You can go back and look at it at any time. So we're going to ask that you not print your timesheet. But we do know that some people feel more comfortable with having their own copy. So if that is you, what we're going to ask you to do is that you print it to a PDF and you save it to your flash drive. Don't print it on paper. Right now I have it on a list view, which means I scroll through the whole month. It's all days are listed in a list. I can change it to a table view, which has my weeks to the right and my pay codes on the left. So it's up to you which view you prefer. It will be on list view when you go live. Do you guys have any questions on the timesheet and how you enter anything? Yes? What do you do if your supervisor didn't approve it? You go to your supervisor. I forgot to mention that. Thank you. You go to your supervisor and ask them to unapprove it. So when they just unselect approve, and then you can recall it, make your change, resubmit it, and then they go back and approve it again. Any other questions? Yes?
The first time that we're actually going to be using this will be for December.
Correct. Right, in November, you'll still complete your paper certification that you do now, sign it, give it to your supervisor, and they'll turn it in. And December 1 is when you officially start using it. Any other? Yes, that's fine. Okay, GAs are a little bit different. We do populate work elapsed hours for them based on their FTE, which is the safe harbor method that we can use at the university. Are they the instructor of record?
They are in office.
Okay, so they're not teaching a class, they're not instructor of record. So they would need to go in and review it to make sure everything looks the way that they expect it to, and they need to submit it, and then you would approve it. Currently, they complete that white ACA paper. This is replacing that. So they no longer have to do the white form, and we're basically doing all the calculation for them. So all they have to do is really just review it and approve it. No, it's based on their FTE. So if they're half-time, it'll be 4 hours every day. Right. They really can't. No. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, yes. So an amended timesheet, if, let me come back in, and I don't know if she has one that's, let me see if this August one's been done.
If you have already entered it and your supervisor has approved it, is that when you do an amendment?
If you've entered your time, your supervisor's approved it, and the payroll hasn't grabbed it yet, Your supervisor can unapprove it and you can make your change. But if payroll has processed it, which this one's saying timesheets already processed by payroll, that's the message you're gonna see. Then the amend button appears, and then you can fix it. So if I knew in July I made a mistake and it's August, I could do it now in November if I wanted to or I needed to. I can go and amend that month's timesheet, make my correction, and then it has to be approved by my supervisor, and then payroll will process it. Okay, the next thing are the reports. You have reports available to you that you can run. So you can run reports. The schedule reports you won't run because you're not hourly. Yes? Yes.
Monthly now, reports are kind of a month back behind.
Right?
Are we in real time now?
You're in real time when you go, yes, but you're submitting at the end of the month, but you're reporting it as you go through the month.
So how do we pick up that?
November, you still do the paper monthly certification, sign it, submit it to your supervisor, and then they enter it, and then payroll pulls it in on the December monthly payroll. Yes?
So we will not get an email on November 30th.
You will not know. I said that. I was in the wrong. Sorry. My months are running together. You'll get it at the end of December, December 31st. You'll not be in the office, but you'll get the email. Your second email is on the 5th, I think. So we'll all be back to work, and that's when I'll be submitting mine. I won't be submitting it from home, so I'll wait till I get back. You're welcome. So you can run reports on your absence history and your accrual history, so you can look at when you've taken time off and you run a report for a period of time. You have some timesheet reports that you can run. So on the employee timesheet, it'll show you all your timesheet for that month, show you what you've done, what you've keyed in. You can also run an audit, which is what I'm going to run for you today. I can run an audit of all of the times that someone touched my timesheet that wasn't me. And I know if someone went in and made a change. So you'll notice anytime it says generated in calculation stages and edited, that means the system did it. It was looking at, it's a holiday that it entered, and all of, which I must have keyed a lot of these in, the work elapsed that are in, we must have went in and made some changes, but normally it says generated in calculation stages and editable. That's the system. It pre-populates all your work elapsed, all your holidays, all of the 2 days over the winter break. If you go through the leave request, you'll see it say that it was generated by the system. That's because the system's putting it there. All the other times that it was changed, when you go live, mine says super user, but it has your IMPL ID there. So if it's not your IMPL ID, you know that you didn't make the change. And then if you have comments, if a supervisor makes a change, we ask them not to, first of all. We ask them to have you make the change. But second of all, if they have to, let's say you're in the hospital and they need to go in and enter your information for you, we've asked them to put a comment in. So you should be able to look at why they did it, if they made a change. Do you guys have any questions on the reports? You can make them a favorite by clicking on the star, and then it appears in your favorites tab. The recently viewed are the ones that I pulled up recently, and I can schedule them to run automatically. So to do that, just make sure you select this one, not where I have a specific date or it's always going to pull that date. I get it over and over again. And so many days before the run date, and I just click schedule. To me, it's like setting up a reoccurring appointment in Outlook. So if I wanted it to run monthly, every month on the last day, I don't know how I guess you would say the 31st, and it would know it was the last day if it was the 30th. Starting on and no end date, and I click the create schedule, but I need to do the top part first. Then I would get the email based on the criteria that I set up. So my time off is where we would request time off in the system from our supervisor. If you're doing a day, like you have to leave early, you get a call, your kid's sick, and you need to go and leave early, you don't have to send a request. You can change it and enter it on your timesheet directly. So this would, to me, is when I'm asking off for a week or a couple days or whatever. This is when I would use a leave request. In my current, it's going to show everything if it's been rejected or canceled until the start date, and anything that is pending or approved will stay here till the end date, and then it moves to my past tab. So I can always see my requests that I've made and what the status was. When you create a new request, you just click Create New Request, and I have two options. On the left side is I am going out on FMLA. On the right side is I just want to take some vacation time. So I'm going to click on the FMLA, you just click the Continue, and it's going to ask me to enter an estimated start date and an end date, and I have predefined reasons that I can select from. Just know that when you're keying this information in, you're talking to HR, not to payroll. Payroll doesn't know this is even in here. We can't see it. We also, when you select the reason, it's going to ask you specific questions based on that reason. You're going to say continue to additional questions. This does replace the paper form that you complete to request FMLA now. But I'm going to discard it because we're not going to request FMLA. We're actually going to request some time off. And I'm going to click the continue on the right. I always recommend you just go ahead and use paid leave scheduled if even though you may have some banked holiday out there. Because if I'm asking off 3 months from now, I may have used my banked holiday by the time I get there. So I just use scheduled. That would be one of your exception messages you would receive, and it would be a hard red error if I had banked holiday and I'm taking scheduled leave. So I'd have to fix it, but I can fix it at that point. You'll also notice on the graph down here at the bottom, the dark green is the time that I've already requested off and it's been approved. I believe this is a light green. It's pending my supervisor's approval. You'll also notice these dotted lines here at the bottom. That means I didn't have enough leave available to me. The system will let you go up to 8 hours in the hole, and I say up to because as a monthly employee, we cannot short your pay more than a day. So if you take off a day and you only have 6 hours in your paid leave account, we're going to let you go 2 hours in the hole. And if you took off the rest of the week, then the next month we're going to short your paycheck by the amount of hours that you went in the deficit. So you need to be really, really careful when you make a leave request. If it tells you that your paid leave is exhausted, just know when you click the submit and your supervisor approves it, you just given us permission to short your paycheck. So be careful, watch your balance. And I can see that, in a minute I'll show you another way, but I can see the graph, how many hours I have. So if I'm going to ask off for October, I only have 20 hours available to me. So watch your balances. I need to give her some more leave. We do this to her all the time, and so she's out. But let's just say I take off, I can go up to a year in the future. I can't go past a year from today, but let's just ask off for a couple of days. I just did something.
Michelle, does it show when you've accrued up to that time period? Because you know you're going to accrue it by that.
It does. It's taking that into account. So if you look at the graph, it jumps up because that's when I get my accrual. You can type in a comment. You can leave it blank, but just keep in mind anything you type in here is a record, so make sure it's professional what you say in here. And then once you click your next button, this is when it's going to take into account that I just requested time off. And it's going to tell me on my bank usage how many hours I had before October 7th and how many I'm going to have after when I get back. So I had 38, I'm only going to have 14 left. And now it's in the graph as the yellow is my pending request. So I can look and I know I'm going to accrue on November 1st. I can't get my mouse there, but it's showing my accrual, and then I take off, and then it drops back down again. I also can click on the other balances if I need to see what I have. So these are all available to me. And I keep turning off the one I want. I can also change the hours here. So if I'm only taking off a half a day that day, I can change it to 4, I can change it to 3, I can change whatever hour increment I need to use paid leave for. I also, if I have holiday banked hours, I can change it. I can change this to, because I think she does have, I can change it to banked holiday and update my page. And then now it lets me know, okay, you have 30 hours in banked holiday. It's not erring on me here. It will err on my timesheet, okay? So I can do this as well. And when I have it the way I want, I could insert another row and say, I'm going to take some more banked holiday here and I'm going to take for paid leave scheduled. So I can enter it however I want it in the system and then just update my page. And then I can submit it. When I have everything the way I want it, I can submit it to my supervisor for approval. They will receive one email and one email only. But they can see it on their dashboard that they have a request out there pending them. And I can see that it's pending as well. When I go to my dashboard, I'll see that I have some requests that are pending. So I can keep an eye on it as well.
And you mentioned that this is really the pay leave should be used for like 8 hours worth of
Well,
when you
I would,
do it in the future, but like, let's say today, oh, I find out there's a recital tomorrow for my daughter, I decide to go.
right. You can just go key it on your timesheet if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily
Right,
needs to be a request.
right. So your supervisor probably is going to set some guidelines on what they want, when they want you to use a request and when they don't. So whatever they whatever they determine, that's what you would do. I don't want to step on them, on their shoes, because then I'll be in trouble. On my calendar, just lets me look at a calendar view of when I've asked for time off. So it's just in a calendar. And no, unfortunately, it doesn't go to Outlook. I wish it did. It's just a view. And I can click on it and see that this is admin, this is paid leave scheduled, paid leave scheduled. Thanksgiving, your holiday will show up. Anytime it's a federal holiday, it's going to show up in blue. So you can click on this 8 hours of time off, and it's holiday. It's not really paid leave. So we're not shorting your paid leave account. And then these are my leave balances as of today. And if I needed to cancel something, I can click on the request as long as my supervisor hasn't approved it, and I can cancel a request if I need to, whenever it decides to pull that up. So I can cancel. And then my supervisor gets an email letting them know I canceled that request. That's pretty much it for the employee. Do you guys have any other questions? Seem pretty easy? All right. Okay, if you're not a supervisor, you are free to go. I didn't get it, so I don't know who has it. Yeah, there was one for the hourly, but I don't know who picked it up. I'll have to ask. Monthly's much faster. Yeah. Thank you. I did a lot of them pretty much all of them until November, and now I'm mainly the one that goes on the road, and then the staff does the ones. I think I have to do them tomorrow. Yeah. No, if you've seen the supervisor portion on the hourly, you don't have to stay for them. It's the same. I'm going to say practically the same thing. Same thing. Yeah. You're welcome. Okay. So if you are a supervisor, when you sign in, your page looks a lot different than as an employee, if you're just an employee. You'll notice there's a lot more options on the page for me. So one of the things that you can do, and what I did after probably a few weeks in the system, is I kept clicking on the wrong thing to go in and do my time. So I made my calendar, my time off, and my timesheet a favorite. And that way I put them aside, and anytime I'm trying to do something on myself, I know that they're in the favorites. My staff is everywhere else. So I'm not going to cover, and you can move these around if you wanted to. You just can't move them to an area where they don't go. So I'm not going to cover my timesheet, my time off, and my calendar because we've already talked about that as an employee. So we're going to look at edit employee time. We talked about the fact that as supervisors, we do not want to change our employees' timesheets unless it's absolutely necessary. And if I did make a change to my employee's timesheet, I more than likely would, in that case, print it and have that employee sign it. But if it's at all possible for that employee to make the change, you want that employee to change it. Internal auditing will be asking you why you made a change. So make sure you have your backup. And once I click on their name, when I go in, I click on their name, it opens up for me just as though I were the employee. I can change anything. I don't know why I can't grab that. There we go. So it's all open. All the fields, I can do anything. So don't use it unless you absolutely have to, and then make sure you have backup for it. The edit time for groups, I'm going to cover it, but I really don't think that anyone's going to use it. I actually asked for it to be removed, but they told me it was delivered functionality and I couldn't take it off the page. So I'm showing you what it does, but more than likely you will never use this. What it does is it lets you update several employees' timesheets at one time. And the only time that I could think of that you might possibly do it is if we had to close early one day and you wanted to do the admin for all your employees. I wouldn't do it for my staff. I'd make them enter it themselves, but that's the only example I can think of that you might use it for. It's not going to let me do it because of the status they have our test database in. I need to have them go in and update it. But I select my employees that I want to add to or change. I just click on the date, and then I just do add. And normally I would be able to select my pay code. This would allow me to drop down. Whatever pay code I choose then would open up the fields that I can add. So I would pick admin. It's only going to open up hours, and I would put 4 hours. And then in the comments, I would put university closed early. And once I save it, it's going to go and populate those employees' timesheets. Like I said, I don't know that you'll ever use it, but that's what it does. Approving timesheets, I just click Approve Timesheets. I open up my employee group. It's going to show me everyone in the payroll. I don't know why they have me in a different. Let me jump forward, and maybe that will help me out. All of my employees in this pay period, I can do Approve All. But if I do that, both my hourly and my monthly employees will be approved. So if you have hourly and monthly employees, Approve All may not be the best option for you. You can approve them one at a time. It is cumbersome, especially if you have a lot. So if you only have a few monthly employees, you could do Approve All and then just unapprove them. But you have to make sure you unapprove them. They will let you know because they're going to let you know they can't get in their timesheet. Before you approve, you want to make sure that all of your timesheets, the submitted column says yes. That means your employees submitted their timesheet to you. That means they signed off on it. If they haven't submitted their timesheet to you, you need to be talking to them and letting them know. They've received 2 notices from us that they need to get it submitted. And I'll show you how you can run a report. And you can grab their emails off and email them all at one time and give them a deadline. The exception ones, when it says yes and it's yellow, that means I have some exception messages that I may or may not need to do something on. The ones that are red is a hard error, and I do have to do something. Actually, the employee needs to do something. You can click on their name, and it will open up their timesheet. And more than likely, she's forgot to punch, or she has comp time that has to be used before her paid leave can be used. So she needs to go and adjust her paid leave, use her comp time instead until it's exhausted, and then she would use her paid leave. And I'll show you a report that you can run that will show you all those messages. That's basically how you approve, and then if you need to unapprove, you just select it. You can reject a timesheet by clicking this Reject Timesheet button. It opens up a email dialog box that you can email and send them a message if you need them to do something.
Michelle,
Yeah.
when you click the approve button, it automatically submits it.
Well, it automatically approves it, and then you have to save your page. And then payroll will come in later and grab it. The reports, as a manager, you have more reports available to you. You still have the reports about me, but under the manager reports, you can run reports on your employees' accrual. You can run exception reports, which is what I would run to see the exception messages that they have. You just pick the pay period end date, which we were just looking at November 30th. Select my employees, select all of the messages, and I just run it. And these are the messages that I have that it's showing me. Probably because I was looking at an hourly person and I picked a monthly pay end date. I didn't pick the right one for her, but it would show you all your messages that you have that you need to look at. So you can run the report, look at your exception messages to see what needs to be taken care of, and then you can get with the employees to let them know, hey, you have this message out there. Some of them you're going to look at it and go, oh, that one's fine. I really should have ran a better pay period. I was hoping I could get the 9th. Let's see if it's this one. This should be hourly, so it should be a little bit bigger. Except monthly, you do not receive a lot of exception messages. So I have a lot more now. So Captain America, his banked holidays are exhausted, so he needs to go out and fix that. That's an error, which means we're not going to pay him. Even if you approve it, we won't pay that day. So hard errors will not pay. This one too. He's missing an in-out punch. So you can scroll through and look at all your messages. You can also run it to Excel, however you want to do that. You have other reports. I just suggest you get out and run some of them to see what type of data you get back. But this is the report that you can run to make sure all your employees have submitted their timesheets to you. And when you run it, it will give you their email account, so you can grab it and just grab them, paste them in an email on the 2, and send them an email and say, hey, you need to get your timesheet submitted to me no later than whatever you want to ask them to do. If you have a lot of employees that you're approving, you can run the unapproved timesheet report to make sure you didn't miss anyone. The hours by pay code allows you to run a report on your employees to determine. I think this is the right pay period. They may not have any out there for this pay period, so it may be kind of. If you wanted to know if they have how many class hours, if you let them take class hours they've used, how many banked holidays they have, you can run for a specific code. Or you can just run for all of them. It'll come back and give us some output of whatever information is available for that payroll. So these are the employees. Just know it will pull monthly and hourly together. It doesn't separate them out. It's one of the things we're going to work on to try to fix that one, because that is one report you really do want to know by group, not monthly versus hourly, not all employees. So those are some of the reports that you have available to you. Just like for an employee, you can make favorites. You can schedule it to run automatically. Do you guys have any questions on reports? How it works? Okay. So when your employees send a request for time off, the request will appear in the review time off request. It's one of the places that you can view it. You also have a view group calendar that you can open up that'll show you your employees that are off, and you can make informed decisions on whether or not you have enough staff to allow that person to take off. I would throw this on another screen and then work my list. You can sort your list by the start date so that you're working it in order. And I'll show you how to approve in just a minute. The group calendar is that same calendar that I just opened up. So I don't have to actually go into review time off requests. I can open it up from here. The employee calendar lets me look at a specific employee's calendar for the month. So if I was trying to, I needed to meet with someone and I wanted to see when they were going to be out so I could schedule around it, I can look at the calendar. I'm not going to go over schedules because we're not using that in CCE. The next is manage delegation. So if you want to give someone the ability to manage and approve your employees while you're gone, you can do that through manage delegations. So you would just delegate your authority. Just click search because you're just going to have your group. You select your employees, and then you're going to select an end date. So if you only need it for 2 weeks, you can put 2 weeks out. If it's 3 months, you can put 3 months out. But if you wanted them to always be your backup, you can put 12/31/3000, and they're always your backup. We are going to ask that you not allow redelegations, because if I delegate my authority to someone and they delegate it to someone else, I don't know that they did that. So you can delegate multiple times. You just click next. And then I also recommend that you enter their EMPL ID. Don't just go off first name, last name, unless they have a really unique name. But it's going to pull back, if I pull by name, it's going to pull back everyone that has that name that is a supervisor. It's listed as a supervisor. So if it's John Smith, I'm going to get multiple John Smiths, and I may pull the wrong or select the wrong one. If you enter their EMPL ID, you know you have the right individual. You just do search, and then their name will appear. You select the radio button by their name, and then just click select. It will come back and let me know that it's been successfully delegated to them. Just click continue, and if you want to see who you've delegated your authority to, you can click view revoke. Just do a search. And I'm going to scroll down. We do this like multiple times a day. And we see right here that there's a revoke hyperlink. So if Kay were to come in and give me her notice and say, hey, I'm leaving in 2 weeks, I can come in and revoke her access. And I can revoke it immediately. Or if I wanted to let her continue to be my backup until she's gone, I can enter an end date and select at the end of day and let her continue in that capacity until that date. But I'm going to do it immediately. You just click revoke. And now when I scroll down to find Kay, bottom of the list, you'll see that it shows I gave it to her today, but it was her access, the end date was as of yesterday. So she no longer has access.
Michelle?
Yeah.
Always, when you set that end date to 3,000, she'll always see a little bar that says your employees.
Yes.
She doesn't have to open it.
She doesn't have to open it. It's just there. Right. On the leave request, I'm El Nino, so my requests appear here too, but I can scroll down and see my employees, and let me see if I can find one. There's one in the feature. I can just click on it from here. Same if I went to the list that I had up earlier. When I click on it, it will open up. And you'll notice I can see that her paid leave is exhausted. If I can click on the bank usage, and I can look at her bank to see what her balances look like. And then I can also look at the history, which is why she's leaving. And if I decide, well, it's okay, I'm going to let her go, even though she's out of leave, just know that payroll will short her pay the next month, or you can reject it. We do ask if you reject it, you give them a reason. Payroll has a requirement in our department that they always have 40 hours in their bank. So I would probably put something like Department of Policy requires you to have 40 hours in your bank. You don't have that. I'm sorry, you can't go. Whatever, but so I can reject it. If you approve it, it'll bring up the same screen, but it says approve request. So it's just a little bit different. They will get an email either way. If I reject it, they get an email letting them know it was rejected. If I approve it, they'll get an email letting them know I approved it, and then the time goes to their timesheet. It's automatically populated. The message box is a box that I can use to look at my employees' exception messages as the month goes along, and that way I don't have to wait to see what they are at the end of the month. But what I found is I have a lot of messages that are appearing in that box that I really don't want to see on a day-to-day basis. So I went in and turned off some of the exception messages. I do ask that you go through a few pay periods until you determine which ones you really do want to see and which ones you don't want to see. When you, let me back up. The little push pins, the red push pin are the ones I have to do something with. And so these are usually missing in and out, or they have exhausted one of their banks and they need to use a different bank. The yellow push pin, I really see these more as informational. But if they did bank comp time, if I have hourly employees and they bank their comp time, I have to approve it. And I'm going to see a message that says comp time has been banked by employee, approval is needed. I have to approve it. So all I have to do is just select the little box and it will approve it automatically. I don't actually have to go into their timesheet. The white push pin shows me all the things that are really truly informational, and the one that I just banked now appears over here, and I can unselect it if I needed them to just get paid overtime and we're not going to bank the comp time. I can unselect. I don't know why it is not, unless it's the same one and it keeps changing. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but in production it works. The little gear right here allows me to modify this message box. So when you go live, all of the exception messages will be selected. And when you determine the ones you don't want to see, then you would come in and you would turn them off. I really don't care if their standard hours exceed the week, because more than likely they've already told me about it. You may. So you may want that message to appear, but maybe I don't want to see it. I can turn it off here, and then when I save it, that message will no longer appear in my message box. But it will still be on the report. It will still be on the timesheet. I just don't want to see it in the message box. Also, when you go live, it's going to sort by assignment. Payroll is date-driven, so I changed my sort to date. And also, when you go live, show assignment description will not be selected. And so when you look at the name, all you see is the name. You just see Captain America. But I turned on show assignment descriptions, and now I see Captain America. His title is an IT specialist too. He works in the IT community experience department. That's his IMPL ID, and that's his IMPL record. So his IMPL ID is 469155. His IMPL record is 0. Up to you on whether you want to see all that or not, but you can. And then just save it, and then it will change the messages that are appearing in your message box. At the very bottom, the lead balances, those are your lead balances as of today. So do you guys have any questions on anything that I've shown you today? No? All right. You guys are free to go. Thank you. I don't. I think they have them in the back somewhere. They were. Did she take the? She may have.
And that's okay for me. These two people